to formally open ceremonies this morning is the Honorable Secretary Cesar L. Villanueva, Chairman of the GCG.
His Excellency President Benigno S. Aquino III, Vice President Jejo Marbinay, Secretary, Senate President Franklin M. Vilon, Senator Cynthia Villar, Congressman Jesus Sakdalan, Secretary Cesar V. Purisima, Secretary Florencio A. Abad, Secretary Joseph Emilio Abaya, the Honorable National Treasurer Rosalio De Leon, other distinguished members of government, esteemed members of the various governing boards in the GOCC sector, other distinguished members, good morning. Last Friday, 6th of June 2014, we in the Governance Commission formally celebrated in our Makati office the official promulgation date of Republic Act No. 10149, or the GOCC Governance Act of 2011, for its being one of the landmark legislation of the Aquino administration in pursuing governance reforms in the public sector. We welcome you this morning for what has become an annual tradition of paying tribute to GOCCs and their governing boards and management for demonstrating that by increasing dividends, remittance, the Philippine public sector can put its money where its mouth is. Unlike corporations in the private sector, GOCCs have a double bottom line. They must return not only in financial terms, but also in economic and development means. This morning, we formally recognize 49 GOCCs who have collectively contributed most of the 38 billion pesos in dividends and other remittances to the public purse. These funds embody the continuing commitment of GOCCs to the public trust reposed in their enterprises to not only stimulate growth in critical sectors of the economy, but also, in doing so, allow the public to also reap the profits from their successful commercial endeavors. When the Governance Commission began hosting this event early in 2012, many in the public were still circumspect on the prospects of President Aquino's war against corruption. Kung walang korap, walang mahirap. Today, I think many would agree that while we still have a long way to go, the administration has been winning this war, and that honest governance is now the norm rather than the exception. And yet the public continues to demand more from government and from the GOCC sector. More than honest governance, at the core of such public sentiment is a fervent desire no longer for just a corruption-free government, but for an efficient and dynamic government that can also speed up the gears of governance and bring everyone and one closer to the economic program promise of democracy, meaningful employment opportunities for all, a decent roof over each family, a society where no Filipino will despair in the poverty trap. Having set honest governance as the norm, the public quickly moved on from corruption to demanding results on the economic and developmental front. This phenomenon has made the Aquino administration sometimes a victim of its own success, triggering higher expectations and demands from the public as it raises the standards of a new front has therefore emerged that public servants must also fight at the same time. From battling corruption, we now find ourselves simultaneously engaged in a battle against mediocrity in meeting the Filipinos' desire for change, for honest governance, and to translate into economic and development results the promises of governance. Those of you who were here today are at the forefront of the GOCC sector's battle against mediocrity. As we recognize the financial returns from your respective GOCCs, the GOCC sector therefore continues to push the agenda forward and further towards new horizons and higher levels of governance. We have institutionalized a performance evaluation system, or PES, that has brought strategy and responsibility for corporate performance for the boardroom. Every GOCC represented here has its performance scorecard committing to achieve specific breakthrough results for society. Results are separate from being remitted today. We have also begun institutionalizing the performance evaluation for directors, or the PED, pursuant to the mandate of the law, that only those who obtain an individual performance score of at least above average may be considered for reappointment for the following term. As every GOCC justifies its continued existence within its own charter, so too must appointed directors justify their continued trust reposed in them as fiduciaries of the state with the value of their own individual contributions to the respective boards. Under the Act, boards are required to conduct the business of their governance with extraordinary diligence, leaving no room for mediocrity. We are also well underway to operationalizing the Integrated Corporate Reporting System, or the ICRS, the online web portal that will serve as the central repository for all relevant information of GOCCs. The ICRS is the cornerstone of the strategic use of information technology in the GOCC sector, which benefits not only regulators but also GOCCs and the general public with a shift from paper-based submission to the electronic submission of data. Reporting systems are being streamlined and better structured to allow not only for the quickest collection of data, but also for greater transparency and higher levels of analysis after the oncoming encoding of historical data. These we are all pursuing for the sake of transparency and a dynamic move forward. 3 years after the enactment of Republic Act 10149, the GOCC sector now strives for excellence with the best of the national government pursuing the boundaries of performance and governance. We have been honored to work with all of you in the war against mediocrity in the GOCC sector, inspired with the same resolve that the President demonstrated with his war on corruption since the rallying cry, "Kung walang korap, walang mahirap." It is a new and exciting frontier that has made possible only upon a keen restoration of the fundamental trust reposed in the social contract with the government. Congratulations now, and tomorrow, as we celebrate today's good governance gains and continue working towards those of tomorrow, a pleasant morning to all of you.